The Deadland Saga is a three-part apocalyptic zombie horror novel series written by Rachel Aukes, and it follows a group of survivors including Cash, Clutch, and Jace as they try to struggle to survive in a world just ravaged by this virus that turns people into zombies. This is definitely one of the best zombie fiction novels that are just out there. Rachel Aukes does a great job, and especially the way she incorporates the divine comedy into each novel. The story is told from the perspective of Cash, who is this young woman who ends up getting caught up in this whole zombie apocalypse, but ends up being saved by this character named Clutch. And Cash is a really likable character, and as the books do progress, as the story does grow and things just happen, you can tell she does become a stronger person, not only physically but emotionally and mentally. And I like the fact that even though she is stronger, she still is vulnerable, and I like how that vulnerability makes way for that of Clutch's strength. Clutch is a pretty cool character, and he ends up undergoing character development himself, not only just being this complete badass, but opening up, being more emotional, caring for more people. And you can see how that dynamic does grow to all of these other characters. We have Jace, who ends up joining these two as just a kid, but by the time that the series has ended, he has become a strong individual person with his own set of skills, with his own voice, and I like that. These characters are the moments of these novels. They are great together. They are a great team, and it's great seeing how these characters have grown and evolved together. We have great characters like Grizz, who ends up joining that team, who has special skills, who is just a born great character. We have Hallie, who ends up joining this team. We have great characters such as Tyler, who led the Camp Fox survivors. Great character, charismatic, likable. Justin, the leader of New Eden, who is just charismatic, who has vision, he has personality. This series has great characters. I'm not just saying that the good guys just all have personality, because even the opposing bad guys and other survivors have their own personalities, have their fleshed out moments, and they do a great job of just not even just saying, it's not about good and evil in this situation when it comes to these characters. It's about motivation. Whose motivation is stronger, and what would you do to ensure that your motivation, your goals, whether it be character decisions that get them in a bad spots, whether it be circumstances, and how these characters have to get themselves out of it. I just love the fact that these characters are just great. The zombies themselves are not intrusive. They're actually pretty cool. They remain a constant threat throughout all of the novels, but in varying ways, and I like to see that about these novels. In the first one, they're like very open, out in the open, and I think that was a pretty good way of saying it. Then as the second one comes by, you have these hordes of zombies, and I think that was pretty cool. And then in the third one, it was more enclosed areas. So I think that the zombies played a great role, but in different ways. And I like how these stories implemented that. It's very well written. I think that's a very creative way Rachel Aukes did that with the zombie characters. Also, the scientific explanation as to how the zombies spread so rapidly, how the virus actually works, you know, how the wildlife, the new zombies that do show up. I think that was actually a pretty great concept, and I like the fact that they waited to the end of the series to actually implement it, because now you get to see kind of like the light in the darkness, especially as these people who have just gone through hell and just gone through so much have finally learned how to just live and adapt in a world just has zombies in it, and now there's a possibility of eliminating that threat. Also, the survivors, as I've said before, it's not really about who's bad and who's good. It's about you're a survivor. You're going to try to do whatever you can to survive, even if you do some pretty dickish things. And I think that this story, people do some pretty dickish things, which leads to a lot of deaths, and it's just messed up. But in a world full of zombies, you could expect people to just act like complete douchebags and just dick move people left and right. But I like how they do harp on the survival aspect, because not all people that are survivors are actually bad and go around killing and stealing. It's primarily against humans, but it's interesting seeing how the virus affects animals, but not the way that it affects humans. So I think that was a pretty good way of addressing the wildlife, especially in the third book, where you see these wild dogs and wolves banding together in big groups to just hunt, because food is just scarce. They're eating zombies, they're eating other animals, they're eating people. The writing is just on point. It's engaging, it's funny at times, especially with the dialogue and the character interactions. It remains suspenseful in a lot of moments. It does have emotionally impactful moments, dramatic moments. There are moments where characters are speaking and it just completely captures you. Also, does a great job with the writing. She just keeps things going at a very good pace, whether it's during the frightening moments of a zombie attack, or whether people are in combat with other survivors, or when people are just here generally talking. It just remains engaging, and she does a great job. She just keeps that story compelling, and there wasn't a moment in this that I was like, I'm bored, it slows down too much for me. I was engaged the whole time. In the end, the Deadland Saga is just terrific. The books are all great. They tell a compelling story with so many great, interesting, and intriguing moments that are just entertaining. It was just a wild ride from start to finish. I loved all the characters: Cash, Clutch, Jace, Tyler, Grizz, Deborah. There are just so many other great characters that were just likable, and when some of them passed, I was just wanted on borderline tears. Story remains great, it's engaging, the zombies are cool, the antagonistical forces outside of the zombies, such as the elements, the weather, dwindling supplies, animals, all of that makes for a very compelling story. The writing, I should say, it was on point. I enjoyed every minute of this series. Rachel Aukes, you are completely awesome. Give you a thumbs up. And I have to say, the Deadland Saga definitely deserves a 5 out of 5. If you love zombie novels, read this. If you love science fiction with good characters and great storytelling, read this. If you like books with great characters, read this. If you like to read this. This series is completely badass. I highly recommend it. If you're one of those fans who love like The Walking Dead, I'm sure you'll love reading this book series. If you like World War Z, I'm sure you'll love reading this. If you love any zombie book, I'm sure you'll love this series. Comes at the highest recommendation I can give. So guys, in the comment section below, let me know, have you read the Deadland Saga? And in fact, which one of the books was your favorite? Also, who was your favorite character? I love Cash, who was completely badass, and I love Clutch, I love Jace, I love all the characters. I can't sit down and just pick out which one. I wish I could, but in fact, having said that, I'm gonna come up with a top 10 list. Anyways guys, to the next video, NarikChase signing out.